I'm Jay Fant. I'm a conservative Republican running for the West Side seat in the Florida legislature. That's District 15. I am pro-business. I am pro-military. I am pro-constitution. I am pro-life. I am pro-gun. I am pro-family. The things that make me believe the things I believe really stem from my background in business. At age 14, I started working in the retail banking business and spent my whole career doing that. As a young man, I thought about being a lawyer, but tried law school. That's for other folks. I'm just business, and I learned that in law school and went back to work after finishing up there. But in our family business, commercial banking business, we help people start their businesses and put people in their homes. Had a tremendous impact on me and made me a conservative to see the economic advancement one individual can do in their own community. Another thing that's influenced my political positions is watching politics in the last few years. Became concerned about how the federal government botched the bank bailouts and put little small banks like ours out on the street and favored the big banks. Not very impressed with that, not very impressed with how the government's handled a lot of things in recent years. I enjoyed attending and speaking at some of the Tea Party rallies when they first started and became very sensitive to the fact that people do not feel listened to. In my campaign, I decided to focus on what people had to say. I've knocked on, personally, about 7,000 doors. People are not happy. People are angry. And it's time that our elected officials understood that if you spend too much time in Tallahassee and too much time in Washington, too much time only with the lobbyists, who I know have a job to do, they're going to miss hearing what people have to say. So my campaign's about the people, and when I get to Tallahassee, it's going to be about the people. That makes me the kind of conservative I am, and one in which I hope will resonate on the west side of Jacksonville. Thank you.
Do you favor or oppose implementing the Convention of States Amendment, and why?
I'm concerned that the federal government has gotten so used to its method of overreaching into our lives that there's no counterbalance anymore. The states have lost their leverage. The federal government is involved in everything we do. And I don't know why the states over time have not made that a habit to prove that we as the states can come together, convene, and even just for the sake of convening, prove to the federal government that we can make decisions that affect this country that the federal government by law cannot change. So I'd like to see a re-energizing of that dialogue in Tallahassee and the other states and have a good counterbalance to what the federal government does with us.
Do you support or oppose providing non-life-threatening aid to illegal immigrants funded by taxes and fees imposed on Floridians?
The notion of illegal immigrants receiving taxpayer assistance does trouble me. I think it does incent illegal behavior. There are legal ways to enter the United States. If you do not enter the United States legally, then you need to go home and learn how that process works. So I would be one of those folks who does not favor using public funds to assist illegal immigration, which I think would just encourage more illegal immigration.
The right to life issue is being fought in state legislatures across the country. What is your position on this issue?
I'm a right to life candidate. I'm in favor of the things that encourage life. I know the use of sonograms in Florida and other states have reduced the amount of abortions that have been performed in our states. I think that's a great step, but I think we can do more. So when in Tallahassee, I will look for opportunities to create more life-friendly legislation.
Where do you stand on Common Core curriculum and the issue of data mining over 400 data points on our children and the loss of privacy on this data?
I'm 100% against Common Core. The notion that the federal government has to be involved in how we educate our children in Florida is something that bothers me quite a bit. When I announced my campaign, it was one of the first things that was a headline out of my campaign was that I'm a Common Core foe. I'm also against dressing down Common Core to make it look like a state program when it's really not. So we need to be vigilant against these education programs that still look toward too much federal help, involvement, and funding that tie our hands and educate our children in ways we would not want that. And the use of that information to do who knows what from a federal level with information gained with students seems to be a violation of our own privacy, and I would be against that.
There are numerous records and reports of American history rewritten in Florida textbooks. Have you reviewed these examples, and what will you do to ensure the accuracy of historical text?
The sanitizing of our textbooks for political correctness purposes is rampant in this country, and I'm sure it happens in Florida. I have 4 children, 3 of which are homeschooled, and we pick our own textbooks very carefully. But I know we have to look out after all the other children in Florida too. American history tells us who we are, what's important about being American, why America is an exceptional country. You take these things out of the textbooks, the children won't understand what's valuable about being here in this country. We've got to get back to our basics, got to get back to basic American history throughout all our textbooks, and I think the legislature needs to look into that.
Thank you. Do you have any closing remarks?
I would simply close by saying that in this country we have some severe obstacles to fixing long-term problems. Obamacare, federal intervention, how the hospitals are run, the growth of the bureaucracy is going to change the face of this country for generations if we don't do something about it. Now, I know I'm running for a state house seat, but I believe that every seat at every level, from school board to Congress to the president, must have a component that each candidate must understand that the America we know is at risk if we don't incorporate that mindset into every decision we make. So I think people like us need to be involved in politics. We can't just leave it to the institutional people. People like us need to be involved at every level. And that's one of the reasons I'm running. And I hope others will be encouraged to do the same.